Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's entrepreneurship class. And I think we're just waiting for everyone to join the audio. So, welcome, and I'm Nabila as today's JPAC admin. First of all, I'd like to remind you of a few things. You can activate the interpretation feature if you wish to listen to the session in Bahasa Indonesia. Please kindly turn your microphone off if you're not speaking and turn on your camera at all times if possible so we can see your beautiful faces. And please rename your Zoom username to the name you used during the registrations. And if you have any questions to Carla, please write them in the chat box first unless otherwise instructed. If you have any technical questions or concerns, please DM the admin team and we will surely help you out. The presence form for today's session will be shared in the chat box during our short bathroom break or nearing the end of class, so be sure to look out for it. And thank you for your attention. I'll let Ka Ajang, our moderator, take it from here.
Thank you so much, Nabila. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Carla. We're so happy to see you all again. I know that we saw some of you last night at our final advocacy presentation, which we had a wonderful time. So make sure to greet everyone in the chats as we get started. I believe we have a wonderful and exciting material for you tonight. And I believe I would like to just welcome you all and introduce you guys. I believe she needs no introduction at this point. She's our amazing mentor and facilitator, Carla Canales. Say hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Hi. I am still buzzing from yesterday. For anyone who was with us, yeah, I mean, Ajay was really magical. And anyone who was part of the advocacy course, which just concluded yesterday, again, a big congratulations. You guys were amazing. And for those of you who weren't in the advocacy course, you might want to just ask some of your colleagues. I think we want to just make sure everyone's on mute just so we can keep the volume levels down. I think a lot of what we're looking at in this class ties to advocacy. In other words, you may have a project after this entrepreneurship class where you want to, for instance, raise awareness on an issue. It could be, as was the case in the class, women's equal rights, or it could be something like environmental issues or anything. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today too, of how can you use some of these skills going into that. But as I like to do, Ajang, I hope this is okay. I'm going to start really quickly with just refreshing you guys on that question. I will say I was a little bit surprised not to hear more of your homework assignments. Remember, it was to answer a question on social media and tag me. I did get some, but I didn't get as many as I was anticipating. But that question, I'm going to put here in the chat so you guys can think about this. But it was, what accomplishment has made you most proud, right? So, yes, you can still turn it in, Jane, absolutely. But I would like you to think about it because I am going to call on some people. And Ajang, I hope it's okay before we dive into our presentation for today. As you know, I like to call on people who I think have done a really great job with the homework. We've heard from a number of people. If you remember Nicholas in the first session, an amazing violinist. And then we heard from Samuel last week who did the illustrations. So this week, there is a young lady here in the group among you guys who really, I think, just knocked it out of the park. And I'm going to invite her to come up. Maria Ardita, are you with us today?
Hi. Yeah.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, Maria. How are you?
Wait. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm great. How are you?
Well, I'm really
Awesome.
excited to share a little bit about what you shared with us. Is that okay with you?
That's okay.
So, Maria, but as I get this up, tell us a little bit about yourself. If you feel comfortable, we're going to go back to step one every time, guys, in a very short way. Tell us a little bit, what's your story? What are you about?
Well, my name is Maria Ardita, but you can call me Mary for short. Many people call me Mary. And also, I love singing and writing. Sometimes I post some articles on my personal blog, and
We're going to
what
talk about that.
yeah, once a week I try to be really consistent in uploading some covers on YouTube. And also I'm currently studying, pursuing a master's degree in professional psychology. And I really love psychology. There is something about human behavior that is fascinating to me, and also about mental health also. And yeah, I just love the topic, the subject, and I really want to see if I can try to create something from arts with um, that has something to do with psychology, and maybe to promote mental health,
That's such a noble cause. And Ajeng, I think you'll agree with me in saying, like, that's very much in the space of advocacy that we've been talking about to promote, positive mental health or mental health awareness. That definitely falls under the advocacy category. So, Maria, first of all, everyone, I'm calling on Maria. I'm kind of boosting her and everyone because she turned in a wonderful homework assignment. And as you can see, her spin is quite different from we had a violinist, Nicholas, we had wonderful Samuel who did the visuals. And in this case, Maria is actually, I would describe you as a writer and a singer, right? With your blog and your singing. So Maria, is it okay if I share your materials that you shared with me?
Yeah, sure.
Great. I'm going to share my screen really quick. And so here's what Maria sent me, guys. First of all, can everybody see all of this okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
So that's
cool.
great.
So, this was her Instagram. I love to follow all of you, so I suggest, you might want to follow her here, Maria Ardita, which I'm following. And this was her homework that she turned in. And she's written this up here. Yeah, here we go. Singing has always been a part of my journey. On my new blog post, I'm sharing a little bit of my story, things that I'm interested in, what are my role models, challenges, and what I'm proud of. Every emotion is valid, every experience counts. It's all about progress, big or small, and although I still have so much to learn, at least I know the direction where I'm heading. Head to my bio or Insta story to read the full article. So, first of all, fantastic. Fantastic, Maria. What I love is you're giving us some context of your story. You're also inviting us in a very kind way to check out your blog, your bio, and yeah. And then you come down here, and guys, I really love this that Maria is also doing image description, which, for those of you who may not know, it's just a really wonderful way to be inclusive for folks who may have some kind of disability, may not be able to see. And I'm going to turn to Maria maybe just to tell us a little bit about how you learned to do that, right? I love that. Obviously, I commented on it, and it looks like you have a lot of people that like it. So, first of all, this photo, and then just going through your watercolors as a way to cope for quarantine. Just some really wonderful photos. I assume this is your role model, which he's one of mine too. And so I'm getting a really good sense of her. And I know there's this great video here. You sound awesome, Maria, by the way. Like, so you sound really great. So I'm going to stop the share for a moment here. When I saw this assignment, I thought, wow, this is like A plus. This is so great. She's found a way to incorporate the story of her life, what inspires her, who her role models are, and she's even managed to put a little clip of her singing in, which like I really enjoyed. Maria, before I turn to the second part of your homework, I'm really curious. How did you learn about the captioning, and what made you decide to do that for your IG?
Um, I think, yeah, I've been learning a lot about it, about captioning. I've always been so interested in, personal branding and stuff like that. And I've been try copywriting also.
Very
It's
cool.
it's one of the things that I'm interested in. So I just try to learn a lot from several brands who I think has great captions. I try to do, yeah, some of that.
How many of you in the room were familiar with captioning? Is this new for anybody? Maybe everyone knows about it. I know in the United States it's not so frequent, but it's starting to be
Mhm.
more frequent. And so I just didn't know if this is something that is very common or not. And it is hard, Deanna. It's definitely like
It
takes a
is.
little bit more time. Ajeng, what do you
And
think? Is
I
this
think
something
people
frequent?
here, it is, I see it occasionally, but I don't think it's the norm yet here in Indonesia. And I think we have a certain group of people who are aware of what it is, and then like we have, but I think like the public majority is still not aware of what counts. And so I was wondering if maybe you could tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, actually, also Kak Ipong is asking. So, Maria, what do you think? Can you
Mm.
describe captioning for us?
Uh, well, from what I know, I don't know much about the term captioning. I would rather say it like copywriting.
Yes.
I think that's the common term that I know about, making captions for the social media, to trying to, sell your brand, trying to make your post appealing to other people so they can try to, engage more with your content. There maybe try to get people to be more interested in what you want to say or what do you want to express, something like that, I think.
I think
And
that's absolutely right. I'm going to put a quick article that I found on this here on the
um,
chat. Yeah,
Carla,
go ahead, Ajahn.
um, if I may ask, what's the difference between caption and the alternative image description that Mary put in the post? Because I think that's also a very interesting thing to see.
Mary, do you want to answer that?
Oh, wait, I think you, I don't know about the captions. I mean, do you mean the one in the bracket where I
Yes.
put the description? Well, I'm a Tumblr girl, so there are so many posts on Tumblr that are very, very inclusive, and I try to apply that on, my social media and sometimes my Tumblr persona. So
Mhm.
it can be more inclusive to other people with disabilities, so they know about the description of a video or a picture or an art or something like that. I think the content that you are trying to post for people to see, you want to be more inclusive to other people with disabilities, something like that.
That's exactly
Sorry.
right, Mary. That's exactly right. I mean,
Mhm.
some of you may know this, but there are obviously a large part of our communities that may have a hearing disability or deafness. In America, it's over 28 million. And subtitles, if you will, or captions, they can add a dimension of inclusivity. So it's really a way to make your content inclusive for everybody. I think it also shows a gesture of saying like that my content is I want to do my part to make it inclusive for everybody. But it also just might, you know, make your story more accessible. for more people. And so I think it's a really great tribute. When I saw that, Maria, I thought, wow, you're very thoughtful. It made me feel like, wow, she's really thinking about others. And it's an extra step, but it is also a gesture, I think. So I was really moved by that. I've put a little link here in the chat about sort of a little bit more on captions and social media. And, for anybody who's not familiar with it, you might want to read up on that. But this is just one element of Maria's post. I love that you did multiple pictures. I love that you showed us a range. And I love that you included a video. I thought it was just a fantastic post. So well done, Mary. I think everyone should be giving her a round of applause. And I want to go back to this for a moment here. Sorry, it's your video. Let me share my screen. And now what I want to do is ask you guys, is there anything that you think that Mary could do to improve this? And this is what we're going to be talking about today is like, how can you engage an audience? So let's imagine, Mary, and I'll come to you in a moment, that you want to get your message out to as many people as possible. You want to build your social media following in order to just have more people interested in your content, your blog, your music, etc. So first of all, I love that you've incorporated all of this in a way that is very authentic. It's very genuine. It's really fantastic. We've talked about the captions. Does anybody have suggestions for anything that Mary could do that would increase her likelihood of having new followers or a bigger audience? And if nobody has ideas, then I'm glad, because today, hopefully, I'll be giving all of you a lot of ideas. But I know there's some social media mavens, some real social media. Yes, okay. Mia, more hashtags. I think that's right. Now, obviously, first and foremost, thank you, Maria, that you've tagged JPAC and myself. That was the homework assignment. But I want to invite you to include even more hashtags. So obviously TPA, but I would think you could include so many different hashtags on, anything from Indonesian youth, followers of your great role model Nadal, followers of tennis, bloggers, anyone who was at this event. Like, I would say you could probably find easily 10 hashtags that could go in this. And maybe some of you can even give Mary some suggestions. What would those hashtags be? Right? So hashtags is definitely one. This is more of a strategic suggestion, but reels, yes, reels, that's a great idea, Jane. We'll talk about that. That's kind of a different thing. Yes, and Diane, I like that hashtag. I also think that there could be more groups involved in this. So, like, could you tag other groups or other folks who might be interested in this story? Tag them directly. Sorry, I'm playing the videos, obviously, and I have the sound on, so I'll stop there. But I think that would be one of the big suggestions I would have today is how are we going to take something like that, which is an excellent 10 out of 10 post, but make that presented in a way that might be viewed by more people to engage your audience further. Ajeng, what do you think? Do you have any suggestions?
I think the hashtags are a great idea, and I think reels are also a great idea. Also tagging, I think following up on that, having involving more groups would be very effective too, because that way you're tagging a lot more people, and a lot more people
Exactly.
are inclined to check and also to share your post. I feel like with Instagram right now, it's not so much about, it's not only about the likes anymore. The algorithms also prioritize shares nowadays, and so I think having that is also important.
That's a great point, and that's really exactly what I was getting at. So, Mary, if you were to like tag an individual versus a group, An individual is one person, but if you can incorporate tagging a group, then all of a sudden you have multiple people. And so, of course, that multiplier effect can lead to more shares and so forth. So, I have a first idea for today. First idea. If we were able to make a group here of the people who are on TTA entrepreneurship, maybe it's that hashtag, if everybody in this group follow that hashtag, or we create our own account, then all of a sudden, if this group, which has 45 people in it right now, promise to like check out those posts and repost and support the group, all of a sudden, immediately, you have a multiplier effect of 45. And I would vow to join that group, and I'm in a different country. So all of a sudden, that would help me, that would help you with my followers. And likewise, Ajeng, I know you're very active. Some of the folks are very active. So you want to try to build groups and collaborations that can really help to spread your message. So this is I'm going to come back to this idea, because if there's one thing we take away of this idea of this group being an immediate source of support, I think that would be awesome. Do you agree with me, Ajeng? What do you think?
Definitely. And I think I personally sometimes get overwhelmed with networking on social media, just because it involves so many numbers. Like when we talk about networking, we always think of like a follower count, right? But I feel like now it's good to focus on having actual connections, with
Yeah.
the people you connect with here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to talk a lot about that point as well, Ajahn, because I think that's really critical. But before I do, I'm going to briefly touch on your blog, Mary, because I love it. And I'm going to spend a lot more time coming back to you as an example throughout our session today. So, Mary also sent me a link to her fantastic blog. I'm going to share my screen again. And so here's Mary's blog. Mary Ardita's personal blog. It's I'll put this in the chat in a moment. And she's really like poured some very, very great wisdom and personal introspection into this, which I really appreciate it. And so, Mary, as I share this, I want to think about a couple of things here. One, how can we um invite people who might be following you here to come and follow you here? That's one question. And anyone who has ideas in the chat, please blow up the chat right now. I noticed here that you did say head to the link in my bio or Insta story to read the full article. So I'm going to go to your Instagram page. I'm going to go here.
And you have a
Wow.
card. It's really cool.
Yeah, this is super cool. I love this. And so here is your blog, which is fantastic. You're making it very, very easy. Now, I'm wondering, however, in the post, can you put something on the post that says, please join me on my blog, like something that specifically invites readers to your blog? I think that is also a little piece that's missing for me, where I would love to see the blog mentioned. And then I'm just going to make one final comment here in the blog. Let's just say that I go to the blog. I'm sorry. Hello?
Hi, Carla.
Sorry. Okay. When I share the screen, sometimes it's hard for me to know if someone else is talking. But let's say that I go to the blog and I'm like, wow, okay, cool. I found Mary on Insta. She had this great post. I'm checking out her blog. It's so cool. I really love it. How do I sign up for regular blog posts, like to come to my email or to ping me so that I never miss a blog post? So I'm going to stop my share right there. Mary, is there a button on there? Because I couldn't find an easily seen button on your blog to just immediately sign up for more.
Yeah, I haven't set that up yet. I forgot because this is a fairly new blog. I used to have a blog like from 2012, I think. It's been so long. Then I decided to delete it, that one, and then started just a new one last year. So yeah, I haven't really got back into it. I just got my semester break this week. So
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. No, no problem. I just thought, like, I was scrolling and I thought, did I miss it? I can't find it.
yeah,
So
I
that
haven't
would
said it.
definitely be a strong suggestion. And if I may, I would put it somewhere really super visible. So it's like subscribe here, like everyone can see it very easily. So Mary, I thought this was an outstanding homework assignment. You're well on your way to building your brand. The last sort of suggestion I would have for you is some kind of a logo or a branding image. So if I may, I'm going to share the screen just one more time here. Um, you know, you have this beautiful, I'm assuming that's a watercolor maybe that you've done. And that seems like a really great logo or brand image. But when I go to your Instagram, we have this great picture of you here. So I would say that one of the things that's really great is if you can have some kind of a logo that is consistent throughout. Maybe it's a headshot photo, maybe it's a watercolor photo, but something where I go, oh yeah, okay, I connect this image with Mary. This image is Mary. They're one, right? So that would be my kind of last marketing suggestion. But I'm going to come back to your example quite a bit throughout the class because I see you as having great content, a great story, and now it's a matter of how can we share that content with a wider audience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you for the suggestions.
No, thank you. And Ajeng, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Maybe on the blog, adding up to the subscribe or the follow button, I think it would be helpful to also have either the link to the card or maybe to your Instagram as well, just so people can kind of go back
Great
and forth
idea.
between your Instagram and your blog easily.
Oh yeah, it's on the about me part. Like there are like at the top right of the screen, there is like a small button, three
Exactly.
lines, and then you can go there with about me, and then I add the link.
Exactly.
I think I saw that. I would just make it very big and very visible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
sure.
we have a question from Hilda here. So Mary, if you don't mind telling us, is this card page similar to a link directory like Linktree, or is it something something different? Can you tell us a little bit about that, if you will?
I'm not sure about Linktree. All I know about Linktree is that you put several links about maybe links to your website, links to an online shop that you own or other business types. But with card, I think it's more flexible because you can actually use it like a personal blog, but not really. But you can add pictures, you can add personalized backgrounds, and then you can have little buttons when you can share the links to maybe your social media or other pages that you feel relevant to you, I think.
That's great. That's a new one for
wonderful.
me. I
Yeah.
wasn't familiar with it, but I think it's really cool. And again, guys, this group can learn so much from each other. So thank you for teaching me about the card, Mary, because I didn't know. I use Linktree. But that's really so cool. So guys, let's give Mary a round of applause. I'm going to come back to your example quite a bit, Mary, because it's such a good example, but well done. And I highly
Well done,
suggest we all
Mary.
follow Mary on Insta and let's get on that blog. It's such good content. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. I'm also going to be calling on one other person today in today's session, but let's dig into some of this content, shall we, Ipong? What do you think?
Are you asking me or?
Oh, Ipong, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ajeng. Guys, I'm sorry. I am working on my first cup of coffee. I'll have another one at the break. I'm so sorry.
No worries, Carla.
Oh, it's nice to greet you, Kaki Pong. How are you feeling?
I'm good, feeling better every day. Thank you.
Good,
That's
good.
wonderful.
So, okay, I'm gonna share my screen once again.
Yes, let's see our next step. Yeah.
Thank you so much for bearing with me here. Okay, so this is today's session, engaging your audience. And I have put up this photo because there's a really funny story behind this photo. So I was doing a concert once in South America, in Chile. This was an amazing place. It's considered one of the most southern points, I guess, in the world, with the performance hall called Frutillar in Chile. And I was really excited about the concert. You know, we were putting flyers up, like, in, the newspaper and in sort of the kinds of places where we thought classical music people would like to go, like maybe some community centers or churches or things like that. And the night before the concert, I went to have pizza with my pianist and my husband. And then we had a delicious pizza, and I went to the bathroom. And as I went to the bathroom, I noticed this is the cash register here. And I saw this picture of myself like by the cash register with a cutout. It was like cut out. And then this bubble saying, Me encanta la pizza, which means I love pizza. And I was like, "What?" And so I talked to the pizza guys, the owner and like the waiters, and they were like, "We love opera. We love opera, and we were really hoping that you were gonna love pizza." So it really taught me a
That's
lesson,
amazing.
like, right? Like you never know who your audience is. And so, of course I invited them to the concert and they were so excited. And, it was really a lesson for me in thinking outside of the box about who your audience is. And of course, I just really loved this because I do love pizza. So that's just a funny little story. But let's dive in. Maria's story, we've covered a little bit so far. And this is the question for this week. So I really want to hear from you guys. What did people come away with from this question? What accomplishment has made you most proud? I'm gonna
Should we open it up to the floor or
Yes,
uh,
let's. And my computer
so
is acting a little funny here. But I want to hear from you because
I guess
certainly Maria was not the only person who answered the homework. Let's take a few moments and who would like to share, maybe share your social media post that you put up or just answer the question, what accomplishment has made you most proud?
okay. Feel free to put it in the chat or maybe just unmute or like raise your hand, yeah?
I was pretty proud of yesterday. I don't know, Ajeng, how did you feel about yesterday? That was definitely one of my proudest moments of being a part of something.
Definitely. And I think the only thing that I forgot is to use the hashtag for TT entrepreneurship as well from last night's post, because that was also part of my intention of posting it. Um, but I'm sorry, am I freezing a little bit here?
I can hear you and see you great. And it looks like we have a couple of hands up. We have Jane Alina.
All
Hey,
right,
Jane.
great. Come on up, Jane.
Hi,
I love the virtual flower.
Oh, right.
Can you teach us how to do that? How did you do it?
Because I feel like I'm active in these classes a lot. Like, yeah.
We love that. We love that.
Okay, good. I hope you're not sick of me. um, so I literally just posted my homework. Um, so I told myself that my biggest accomplishment was this one day in August of 2019 when I came to a realization that what I wanted to pursue at the time, which was being a doctor, wasn't actually like my dream, but what my parents wanted, And it led me to face the truth of like what I really wanted since I was 7, which is like at first being an actor, but after like thinking about it some more, I realized it's more to like create something that makes a difference, whether that's like let's say a book or a movie or theater production. So I feel like right now when I'm 20 years old. I haven't gotten far, but I've gotten to a pretty good head start. And it's not because like I was privileged enough to go to university or I have the money for it, but it's literally because of the passion and because despite like the challenges I go through, I'm truthful to myself. So that is my biggest achievement, that I'm truthful to myself.
It's a huge achievement, Jane. That's
That's
very,
wonderful.
very mature. And I'm looking at your post. It's absolutely beautiful. It's so honest. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. And I think you are on a very, very good journey ahead. I'm so excited for you. Having gotten to know you guys, she's incredibly talented, and I just followed you, so I can't wait to see the next steps. And Jane Elena, in the chat, can you teach us how you do the flower?
What? Oh, it's just go to your like the video icon. There's a little arrow. Then you like click video settings, and then or should I share screen? I don't know if that'll show up.
I
Basically,
just love that we're learning these things together. I think that's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So there's background and effects, and then you click that, and then video filters, and then there's a flower. I can like type it up later.
Oh my gosh, wait a minute.
Awesome.
I see it. Um,
Click
let me see. Do I
video.
have it? Yes, I have my flower now.
Yay! I
This
told
is
you.
this is what it's all about, guys, is learning from each other. So thank you so much, Jane Elena. I love it.
Thank
Very
you.
cute. Thank you. Thank you, Jane Elena.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
Jane.
sharing. And let's go to is it Jan Ben? Benny. Jan
Yon
Benny.
Benny.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, so I'm trying my best to explain my story in English first. I would like to share my screen.
Jan, would you prefer to do it in your native language? We have interpreters.
Oh, oke. Oke, halo semua, selamat malam. Sekarang aku mau share tentang story aku. Aku sekarang share screen ya.
Silakan.
Oke, actually I'm a little bit nervous. Hahaha. Oke, jadi aku mau perkenalan diri dulu. Aku Yon Benny atau biasa dipanggil Benny, dan aku adalah fotografer. Dan accomplishment atau pencapaian yang menurut aku bangga adalah ketika aku akhirnya bisa foto orang.
Finally able to take photos of people. So when I started learning photography, I learned using my mobile phone. And once I had a camera, I learned photography by taking photos of objects that are inanimate, not human beings. And
Layarnya udah oke ya? Oke nih. Iya. Jadi aku suka mengekspresikan perasaan aku lewat foto. Dan biasanya karena aku terlalu grogi untuk foto orang, jadi aku selalu foto pemandangan. Dan biasanya aku selalu sharing perasaan-perasaan melankolis atau perasaan hangat, melankolis, atau perasaan warm yang aku rasain saat itu. Dan ini beberapa contohnya. Nah, accomplishment-nya adalah ketika aku foto orang, dan itu saat itu aku lagi ada di tahap yang tidak menyenangkan. Jadi waktu itu aku udah mau persiapan pameran, tapi aku sempat di kick dari grup tersebut karena mereka menganggap aku belum bisa untuk foto orang nih. Jadi
I didn't have the ability to take photos of people. So I was temporarily kicked out. And from that point, I had to be honest with my feelings. So when I got kicked out, I was so sad. You know, I'd been preparing for 6 months, then suddenly I was kicked out.
aku lagi di danau kebetulan saat itu, terus ada anak kecil lewat, terus ya udah aku foto. Kebetulan aku bawa kamera. Ini jadi salah satu titik yang kurang menyenangkan aku lah, lagi sedih. Oke. Lalu akhirnya sejalannya setelah itu aku direkrut kembali, terus akhirnya aku jadi pameran. Dan setelah itu aku jadi semakin lebih pede sih untuk fotoin orang, dan kini beberapa pameran aku. Dan kebetulan ini ada Ko Mario di sini. Jadi aku sama Ko Mario sempat kolaborasi juga di 2021. Kita ada pameran juga yang terbaru iCat itu di daerah Kemang. Dan Ko Mario ini jadi copywriter sama untuk nulis-nulis untuk di pameran. Begitu, dan ini beberapa contoh portfolio aku. Jadi aku akhirnya setelah itu lebih berani untuk foto orang, lebih jujur gimana caranya mengekspresikan diri sendiri dan percaya sama keunikan diri sendiri sih. Dan ini untuk yang kemarin, jadi bulan lalu juga aku sempat dipercaya untuk menjadi salah satu speaker yang berkaitan dengan kesehatan mental untuk remaja, dan di situ aku jadi speaker untuk bagian fotografinya. Dan ini kindly silahkan bisa, kalau berkenan bisa lihat Instagram aku. Yeah, thank you.
Oh my gosh.
That's Benny. That was amazing.
Benny.
Thank you. Aku mau stop share screen. Oke. Iya.
See it.
I'm so glad you raised your hand. I'm blown away.
Thank you.
That's
I already followed you before you even put your Insta page up on the PowerPoint. So we have some questions in the chat. Maybe Ajeng, you can look through that. But I'm really curious, what's next for you? How can we share your photos with the rest of the world? Do you have a website? Is it all on Instagram? Are you selling the photos? What are your hopes for your model?
Oke, kalau untuk meningkatkan audiens aku ke luar negeri, aku ada link juga untuk jual karya-karya aku. Itu ada di sebentar. Di Art Links aku share di chat grup ya, di chat Zoom.
silakan.
Jadi selain aku, jadi untuk pekerjaan aku saat ini aku memang lebih foto ke foto portrait, foto pre-wedding, wedding, lebih ke foto-foto orang, dan kliennya di sekitar antara Jakarta sama Bandung sih untuk saat ini. Dan untuk online-nya aku jualnya lewat di Artlinks. Begitu.
Okay, so I'm looking through this. Benny, is it okay if I share my screen?
Sure.
Okay, so first of all, I'm blown away by your talent. Like beautiful, beautiful photographs. And I think you gave a wonderful presentation. I didn't know. I don't think I received yours by email. Otherwise, I would have called on you. But this is really great. Everybody, this is his Instagram. Highly suggest you follow him. I am following you, Jan Benny. So first thing, I'm confused. Why don't we see the link here for your Artlink page? Let's get that up so that if someone wants like a link tree or the page that Mary had, something like that where they could find you more easily. And then going down, obviously, like your photos are just stunning. I'm just pulling one up right away. Great use of the hashtags. I immediately will like it. But the main thing is, let's say that you're getting some traffic to your Instagram. How can you turn it into something that's monetizable, that you can make money from? So I would say immediately, this sounds interesting, the Artlink page, and I'm looking through here, and these are great. But I'm gonna go just to take this as an example. This is the beautiful print that you said was sort of, I guess, the first one you did of a person. When you're doing this print, and this, I'm assuming this price includes the shipping and everything. I'm assuming also, yeah, it's framed and would go something like this. Can you, and this is a question for you, do an image like this or other images in other forms, like photograph. I'm sorry, postcards, postcards or cards or even T-shirts. And I know that that might seem very commercial, but I'm wondering if you would be willing to sell your art in kind of unusual ways. It might generate more revenue for you in ways that could help you as an artist. What do you think?
Oke, jadi aku sebenarnya sempat kepikiran untuk menjual, sekarang kan lagi trending dengan NFT. Jadi aku juga sedang belajar tentang
Yes.
apa itu NFT segala macam, dan itu adalah salah satu cara yang cukup cukup menarik sih, karena saat ini kan sedang pandemik, dan kalau kita jual art prints itu agak susah ya. Belum lagi kita harus kirim ke luar negeri segala macam, dan ada proses shipping segala macam, dan menurut aku NFT sih yang paling possible untuk dilakukan.
I mean, NFTs are a whole other world. It's a booming world, and I encourage you to explore that. But I would encourage you to also think about ways to make your content accessible with easy shipping. Postcards are very easy shipping. T-shirts are very easy shipping. And I think your work is universally attractive. Um, and I also am mentioning postcards and things of this nature because it also may give you a different audience at a different price point. So obviously, someone who might be able to afford a print on the Artlink site, it's listed at 620 US dollars, right? So that's for somebody who would have that kind of funding. But if you were, let's say, selling t-shirts, which normally I think a t-shirt for $20 is a pretty reasonable, maybe 25, maybe 30 is pretty reasonable. You might sell a lot of t-shirts because people really, like anyone in the world might want a t-shirt and they think, well, $25, I can afford that. So you might end up selling a lot of t-shirts because the audience for a t-shirt is going to be maybe a bigger audience than the audience that would buy a print. And the shipping costs with the print and glass and so forth are going to be higher anyway. So I'm trying to get you to think about different audiences. If I may, Benny, I'm going to use an example that kind of just came to mind very quickly, and I will go back to the PowerPoint. I'm sorry, I'm not leaning into that more. But before I dive into this this example, Ajeng, do you want to address some of the questions in the chat, maybe?
Yes, let's hear it. So we have a lot of people asking about the group that kicked you out, and Benny, I was wondering if maybe you could tell us a little bit about what came of that exhibition.
Okay, sorry Ajeng, can you repeat again?
Yes, sure. I'm so sorry. Maybe I can ask this question in bahasa kali ya. Tadi teman-teman kan banyak yang nanyain soal grup yang tadi sempat nge-kick Benny dari pameran ya, gitu. Terus teman-teman di sini kayaknya pada penasaran nih, apa yang terjadi dengan grup itu dan apa yang terjadi dengan pamerannya? Apakah kamu jadinya ikut dengan foto-foto anak kecil yang tadi atau gimana tuh?
Oke, jadi sebenarnya itu sebenarnya proyek inkubasi. Jadi proyek inkubasinya ini kita untuk anak-anak yang dengan senang fotografi, terus kira-kira ada berapa anak, dan itu biasanya ada sistem eliminasi kalau kualitas atau progres kita nggak sesuai dengan standar mereka. Dan saat itu udah tinggal 3 orang, tinggal 3 orang, aku dan kedua teman aku nih. Aku juga nanti aku akan share screen untuk foto-fotonya. Jadi kebetulan kita juga akhirnya pameran, dan ketika bertiga ini karena aku kan awalnya kepikiran mau foto orang dan pengen foto fashion fotografi, dan saat itu kebetulan emang itu ternyata bukan dunia aku, tapi aku tetap maksa untuk masuk ke dunia fashion. Dan akhirnya setelah aku ikutin dan aku tetap maksa, tapi mereka bilang, sorry Ben, ini standarnya kamu nggak bisa masuk fashion. Dan aku saat itu have no idea, should I do nih, dapat uang dari mana nih. Lalu akhirnya setelah aku di-kick, akhirnya aku ngomong dalam hati nih,
said to myself, I have to be honest with myself. And as Carla said in previous sessions, we have to be authentic to who we are. We have to be honest with ourselves. And so the photos I took, I showed them and they said, okay, do you want to join us, using whatever it is that you're doing now? And so let me show you some of the photos that I showed in 2018 in the exhibition.
Please.
And while we wait, may I just read out a suggestion here, a wonderful suggestion from Bertie, to use Tokomi website. I think that's an Indonesian website. So watercolors can be sold in the form of postcards, t-shirts, tumblers, mugs, e-money cards, notebook covers, calendars. So what you do is you just send the painting and the website does the work, does the printing of everything. So that's really, really neat. It's kind of like Redbubble. Yes, you're very right, Jane.
Oke, aku boleh izin share screen ya?
Oh ya, silakan.
Oke. Jadi aku bersama kedua teman aku akhirnya pameran, dan untuk hasil karya aku ini menceritakan tentang model sih. Jadi kebetulan kami berkolaborasi dengan model, dan untuk tema aku sendiri lebih ke personal portrait, dan ini menceritakan tentang bahwa sisi lain dari dunia model, bahwa ternyata model itu adalah manusia. Mereka bisa nangis, mereka bisa ketawa, bahkan mereka juga, orang kan awal-awal pada mikir, oh model tuh selalu hidup glamour segala macam, nggak pernah bau lah, apalah, selalu mikirnya kayak selalu high class segala macam. Dan ternyata setelah kita dekat sama mereka, cerita sama mereka, akhirnya kita tahu nih, oh ternyata model bisa tiba-tiba nangis nih. Soalnya waktu aku potret foto mereka, pas aku tanyain, kamu kapan sih terakhir kali nangis? Tiba-tiba langsung nangis. Makanya aku langsung, ada yang salah ya gitu. Karena aku cuma nanya, kamu kapan ya terakhir kali nangis waktu aku lagi mau mulai foto. Ya, tiba-tiba langsung nangis aja gitu. Kayak gitu. Dan ini foto teman-teman aku juga. Jadi kita bertiga dan kita kolaborasi dengan model dari Persona. Jadi ini teman aku juga. Kalau ini lebih ke fashion, sedangkan kalau aku lebih ke personal portrait. Kira-kira seperti itu, dan ini beberapa dokumentasinya. Ini ada Komario juga.
Aku juga mau tanya soal Komario, kolaborasi kamu dengan Komario dong, Benny. Itu kolaborasinya kayak apa ya? Boleh diceritain nggak?
Oke, jadi untuk saat itu juga sebenarnya aku awalnya bersama teman aku, Tia. Ini juga ada ceritanya. Jadi saat itu sebenarnya agak cukup sedih ya untuk kolaborasi yang foto ini. Jadi sebelumnya aku sama teman aku sebenarnya kita udah ada rencana mau photoshoot. Jadi judulnya Henti ini. Dan kebetulan saat mau photoshoot, kebetulan ibu aku meninggal. My mom passed away, dan saat itu aku sempat bilang ke teman aku ini, kayaknya kita postpone dulu ya sebentar, seminggu, aku bilang kayak gitu, karena kayaknya aku belum bisa foto dulu nih. Jadi sempat dipospon sebentar, terus 1 bulan kemudian ya udah aku langsung bilang, oke, kita photoshoot aja, ini kolaborasi. Temen aku sampai tanya, Ben, are you okay? Nggak apa-apa nih, tetap photoshoot segala macam. Akhirnya ya udah kita lanjutkan. Setelah selesai photoshoot, awalnya kita nggak expect untuk pameran, bahkan bikin buku kita nggak ada ekspektasi sama sekali. Jadi kita cuma ya udah kita kolaborasi karena lagi pandemi 2020, ya udah kita foto lah karena ada kerinduan untuk photoshoot rame-rame nih, kolaborasi. Lalu setelah selesai photoshoot, beberapa minggu kemudian ayahku yang meninggal. Terus pas meninggal itu, oh oke nih, dunia ini chaos ya. Terus aku juga bikin postingan ini juga dedicated buat kedua orang tua aku juga karena telah meninggal kan. Terus jadi kebetulan ini juga berkaitan sama perasaan aku saat 2020 di mana judul pamerannya Henti itu saat dimana aku tuh take a break sebentar, diam dulu sebentar, terus mengolah rasa, oh ternyata rasa sakit tuh kayak begini ya. Dan setelah bersahabat dengan perasaan sakit itu, akhirnya I'm ready to move on, bukan untuk ngelupain, tapi untuk menjadi kuat, menjadi Benny yang lebih the best version of myself gitu. Jadi kayak aku interpretasikan foto aku, jadi ini lebih ke titik lowest point aku, dan ketika aku udah ready nih buat move on, then aku interpretasikan dengan foto ini begitu. Dan akhirnya setelah fotonya jadi, entah ya aku percaya atau enggak, tiba-tiba kayak universe tuh kayak menolong aku gitu. Jadi aku sempat kepikiran aku bisa pengen deh karya ini dipamerin. Awalnya begitu, tapi ya udah kita bikin buku dulu aja. Jadi aku ajak Ko Mario untuk kolaborasi untuk bagian buku. Jadi untuk foto-fotonya aku ajak Ko Mario bisa kolaborasi nggak sama aku untuk jadi penulis untuk di buku ini. Begitu bukunya jadi, tiba-tiba aku diajak lah sama coworking. Kebetulan waktu itu aku juga kerja di bagian sosial medianya coworking. Akhirnya jadilah pameran iCat ini. Ini contoh dokumentasinya, iya ini dia. Jadi ini dan ini sosok yang aku lagi peluk ini jadi orang tua non biologikal aku selama aku kerja di sana. Begitu kira-kira.
Wow, terima kasih ya sudah sharing Benny ceritanya. It's very vulnerable and very wise. Aku senang banget dengan frasa. Aku setuju dengan Kak Ipong dengan istilah bersahabat dengan rasa sakit. What do you think, Carla? I'm gonna hand this over back to you.
Benny, I'm pretty speechless. I mean, first of all, my condolences. I can only imagine how hard to lose both of your parents in a short period. But the courage that you've shown through that to be willing to share vulnerably and in your work, which I think goes far beyond photography, it's art. I mean, you're really capturing emotion and capturing humanity and truth in a way that's incredibly vulnerable and powerful. And I mean, I have to say, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. When I have a question, when you finished this project with Mario, how did you feel? Did you feel that there was some kind of, that the art process helped you to release some emotions maybe?
Saat setelah proyeknya selesai, aku jadi grateful sih. Ternyata aku bisa ngelaluin ini. Yang saat itu sebenarnya saat 2020 aku sempat hopeless karena waktu itu saat lagi pandemi. Terus aku sempat nggak dapat kerjaan selama 3 bulan. Kayak aduh Tuhan, ini gimana 3 bulan nggak dapat kerjaan dari foto segala macam. Sampai akhirnya aku doing virtual photoshoot, dan sempat ada klien yang aku mendapatkan klien dari virtual photoshoot itu. Sampai ada yang pre-wedding juga waktu itu. Kebetulan Irene sempat jadi dari Bandung Philharmonic sempat karena waktu itu mau menikah, akhirnya aku virtual pre-wedding photoshoot. Dan ya setelah aku pikir-pikir dan dari karya-karya yang aku bikin ini, aku grateful sih for that.
No. I think we have some questions here because this is a whole category I was not expecting. What is a virtual shoot? Can you explain this?
Oke, aku share screen lagi ya. Jadi Um,
I'm learning so much today.
jadi saat itu sebenarnya aku udah bingung nih mau foto gimana karena kita waktu saat pandemi kan udah nggak mungkin bisa kita kontak aja susah tuh. Jadi mau nggak mau aku ada ide, oh ya udah kenapa nggak kita virtual photoshoot. Jadi aku via Zoom, kita jadi kayak via call gitu, via Zoom. Jadi mereka gunain handphonenya pakai tongsis. Jadi di Indonesia tuh ada alat tongsis buat selfie. Jadi kayak gini. Jadi aku direct mereka taruh handphonenya di sana, terus aku fotoin dari layar laptop. Dan jadi kayak begini, jadi sambil ketawa. Terus ini juga sebenarnya dia lagi pegang tongsis, actually she's holding tongsis. Terus dengan tangan yang bergetar, jadi aku foto ke layar monitor laptop aku. Terus untuk pre-wedding juga, jadi ini aku juga sempat ada foto keluarga juga. Ini juga kita virtual, jadi kita pakai Zoom, terus dianya pakai handphone, akunya pakai kamera, dan aku fotoin ke layar monitor. Lalu ada juga yang foto pre-wedding itu yang paling challenging sebenarnya foto pre-wedding karena ini jadi aku juga pakai kamera ini. Jadi kalau untuk foto pre-weddingnya sendiri ini paling challenging karena sinyalnya untuk di bagian gunung itu kan sangat susah ya. Dan saat itu juga karena outdoor, jadi itu challenging banget sih. Jadi kayak begini, ini yang paling challenging sih selama 2020 untuk foto.
Wow, keren banget. We have Kak Irene here, who's our wonderful friend at Bandung Philharmonic for her pre-wedding shoot, yeah? That's amazing.
Dan ini
Wait,
behind the scene-nya.
I'm blown away here. Okay, Benny, I've never heard of a virtual shoot. So what you're saying is that you could be hired to do a virtual shoot for anyone, anywhere in the world.
Yeah, that's right. As long
So
koneksi
all of
internet.
a sudden, your audience or your consumer base is literally anybody with an internet connection.
Yeah, that's right.
So we have to get that message out there. Like that is a great, I mean, we've been talking to you for a while here, and there's so much to unpack. First of all, I think in terms of, you've mentioned an advocacy connection to mental health and well-being and understanding sort of the complexities of humanity, which I think is one big thing. But I also think just this idea that your work can be for hire from anyone in the world makes you an incredible businessman. I mean, that's an idea that needs to get out there, whether it's through your Instagram or through, do you have a website? Like, how do you, okay, let me back up because this is mind blowing to me. How do you get your clients for this? Is it word of mouth? Have you had international clients? How right now are you spreading the word about this?
Oke. Untuk klien mostly dari Instagram, dari sosial media, dan mouth to mouth sih. Lebih dari teman ke teman, dan itu untuk saat ini Jakarta, Bandung sih biasanya
So I
untuk
think the
klien-klien
idea
aku.
now, the idea right now that I'm going to leave you with is to put what you can offer in English and maybe in multiple languages, but certainly in English, with some price points that are international price points. And I personally will help you get that out there. This is like Shark Tank. Do you guys see Shark Tank there? Is it a show there? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't think it's as popular here. Why don't you tell us what it is, Carla?
Oh, Shark Tank is my favorite show. So, yeah, it's a show that is on in the US. It's very popular where they're called sharks, but they're kind of like entrepreneurship gurus, they're venture capitalists, and people come on and they pitch. I was going to talk about this in the last session, but okay, so the idea of a pitch is that you have like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes maximum to pitch your idea. So Benny's idea would be, hi, I'm Benny. Maybe a little bit about his story. I've gone through XYZ, these obviously you've had a lot of hardship and with the pandemic on top of that. And I've developed a way to do a virtual photo shoot. Here are some examples. The work speaks for itself. It's beautiful. I can do this anywhere in the world. That's the pitch. And basically, like, then a shark would say, okay, I like your idea. I'll help you. Right? I mean, Benny, you have a great idea. It doesn't take a lot of help. You need to have a few key people that can help you carry that idea into other markets, whether it's other markets in Indonesia or other markets from around the world. And this is amazing to me. So your homework is to create like a one pager in English with some examples. It could be a website page, which I think is convenient, or a new Instagram page or whatever, where you show the photos, you have it in English, and you have some price points. And then people like myself can help you spread that message. Does that make sense?
I get it. Thank you, Carla.
No, it's fantastic. I was gonna save the pitch for next
Awesome.
week, but I had to do it. Guys, I know we're over on our break. Can we take a short break today? Because I feel like we have a lot more content to cover, and this has really been amazing to hear from you. We're gonna take 5 minutes, so we will be back at, let's say, 8:13. Let's say 8:13. But what I really want you to do in the break is please put your Instagrams on the chat or Facebook or whatever. We need to start to build our community. So let's start following each other. Let's start supporting each other. So that is the big thing here. Put your page of preference in the chat, and I'll see you in 5 minutes. And thank you, Benny. Big round of applause to you. Awesome job.
Thank you so much, Benny, and thank you so much, Carla, for this wonderful, wonderful first half. Let's come back here at 8:13. Yeah. Thank
Thanks,
you so much,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you, Advang. I've just been busy following everybody here.
Okay. Me
So,
too. I
everybody good move
cannot
forward?
wait. Yes, I believe so. What have you got in store for us next, Carla?
Well, let's go back to our PowerPoint here, just briefly, Ajeng, and I'm going to share my screen. Sorry. So, quick review in case anybody's new. The first thing that we've covered is telling your story. And let me put this in presenter mode. So, I think we've covered this enough now. And, Benny even just told us his story beautifully, but telling your story with authenticity, showing it through pictures, through music, whatever your medium is. We've covered making a vision and a mission. I think you guys all have that initial handout I've given you on this, which really describes these things in detail. What is a brand? Really, talking about how do you build your brand? What are the qualities of your brand? So today is really about engaging your audience, as we've seen. I guess before I go further, does anybody have any questions on anything that we've covered before? Feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll make sure that I answer those questions. But I really want to dive more into engaging your audience,
Yes,
right?
let's see.
Great. So first of all, who is your audience? That is the very first question to ask. Now, as an opera singer, I probably thought my audience was really people who like opera. But actually, it wasn't until I changed my thinking on this that I was really able to, grow an audience outside of the box. Does anyone remember last week when I talked about the cats? Who's your competition? Remember that question? And who can tell me what I said about cats? Maybe just put it in the chat since I'm sharing my screen. Nobody remembers about the cats?
Let's
Really?
hear it in the chats, you guys. Cats have
Cats
more
have
views.
more viewers. Deeky, yes,
Thank
that's right. So if I were to ask you, who is your competition, right? And I did last week, and different people said different things. But this is the thing. The people that watch the cat videos on YouTube and on TikTok are the same people that I hope will be my audience, right? So cats are taking the world literally. But this is the idea, is thinking way outside of the box of who is your audience. Anyone who's interested in entertainment is someone I want in my audience. Anyone who is interested in learning about culture is someone I want in my audience. Anyone who, likes dogs probably is someone in my audience. So, like, really think way outside of the box, not by limitations of your field, but rather by like completely breaking the barriers of limitations. And then what do they care about, right? So, someone who, for instance, another dog owner, let's say, maybe I bond with someone else who owns a dog and we bond over like, oh, we're dog owners. And then all of a sudden I go, oh, that's interesting. Let me follow you on Instagram. And we follow each other on Instagram. We become kind of friends. Well, what do they care about? And what do I care about? It's really important to engage with your audience. And then how will you connect back with them? Is it Instagram? Is it texting? Is it WhatsApping? Is it, there are a million different ways. So these are three really key questions. And then again, I think there's kind of like very concrete steps here. Talk to everyone, ask questions, follow up. So if I go out for a walk and someone, says, "Oh, what a beautiful dog you have," blah blah blah, and I'm walking Grizzly and we get to talking, "Well, what do you do?" "Well, I'm a singer." "Oh, that's really cool. Where can I hear your music?" "Well, you can check me out on blah blah blah." Just start talking to people. When I really shifted from being like an exclusive opera singer to sort of trying to broaden my horizons, I took a year of what I call like my year of listening. And I would just kind of go on like park benches or when I was on the subway or on a plane, and I would talk to the person next to me and say, "Well, what do you think about music?" Or, "What kind of music do you listen to?" And just sort of start to have these conversations, ask questions. Generally, I think it's always better for engagement when you're asking questions. And this is something you can also do on social media. So it's not just a monologue, but rather a dialogue that you want to be having with people and follow up. So if someone says, "Yeah, hey, I've never, heard opera before," follow up, like send that person, a video. Now I'm using opera as an example, obviously, but if anyone expresses interest, like today, I've opened a door with Benny and I said, "Benny, I want to help you." I hope that Benny will follow up, right? That's like exactly the kind of example I'm looking for. And I know I'm going kind of fast here. Ajeng, if there are any questions in the chat, feel free to just jump in because I'm sharing my screen. I can't see. But anyone who has questions, please feel free to like keep that chat going. So I think that this first area is pretty clear. Hello?
Yes. And also maybe can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have any questions so far, but if I may add a little something to like the first question, I guess I have a very fun story. I'm not sure, I'm sure some of you guys know our friend Ashley from the advocacy program. Because we kind of met through Instagram, just like seeing each other's reels and liking and commenting on each other's posts. And then one day Ashley is like, let's hang out. I'm in Jakarta right now. Let's hang out. And then it turned into her inviting me to her performance and like seeing her gig, and now seeing each other and in the advocacy program. So that's been really, really cool with her.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you brought up that story, Ajeng. And I'm going to give a few examples like that as well, because I have to say, I also, like Benny, like most of us, I was pretty depressed when the pandemic hit. Almost all of my work was canceled. and I was like, I really love people, and it was really, really hard for me. But, I think what we've all learned is that you can turn to digital and have authentic conversations through social media, through mediums like WhatsApp, like even FaceTime, like their Zoom, what we're doing right now. There's a lot of possibilities. So it's actually a good time to be alive, I think, for these reasons. And then this sort of leads to what you were talking about too, Ajeng, the second pillar, collaborate. If you find someone in this class or you see someone on social media, they could be across the world now. Reach out to them and just say, hey, like, I really like what you do. Can we collaborate? Think about some ideas, maybe you're a singer and the other person is a dancer, or maybe a visual artist and a poet, or a lyricist and a songwriter, and find ways to create partnerships and collaborate. And do this by sharing of resources. You may not think you have resources because often we think of resources as money. But money is not the only resource. And I'm going to talk about that as well. I'm going to come back to that point. I want you, well, sneak peek, one of your homework assignments is to think about what are your resources. Is it time? Is it that you speak a second language? Is it that obviously your talent, if you're a photographer, if you're a singer, if you're a writer, what are your resources? So that is homework number one. Also, look for a mentor. Maybe there's someone who you feel is like a step or two ahead of you in the game. And, you're like, wow, I really want to be where that person is in like 5 years. Reach out to them, like send them a message and say, I really love what you've done. And could I talk to you? Like, I get calls often from high schoolers that reach out to me via social media or whatever, and they'll say, I really want to have like a career kind of like yours, and can I have, 15 or 20 minutes of your time? Can you just talk to me? And that always turns into like an hour, and then, before I know it, like I'm helping them in some way. And I love to mentor, and many people mentor me. I definitely have that, those people who I call and who I look up to. So identify your mentor. There's flattery, I think, will get you everywhere. Not with me necessarily, but in the business, if you reach out to someone and you say like, I really admire what you've done, and can you just give me some tips? Most of the time people will respond. So then my third thing here, join groups. That's the easiest way to grow your audience. Like if you're, I have a dog, I'm in a dog park group. I'm, in groups on social media, groups that are live, or like maybe you went to a school and there's an alumni group on Facebook. Or, maybe like you have another hobby. I love to knit. I'm in a knitting group. Like join groups, meet people you would not normally meet in the groups. They will expand your audience. They will expand your mind too. And this is like just such a big thing about just being curious, talking to people, joining groups, engage online. And we've covered this, use hashtags. I think I'm not the best example on social media, guys, but people I know that use it very well, they use a lot of hashtags. So these are all different ways that you can really kind of expand. And lastly, in getting your message out there, social media is just one way. Newsletters, like if you have, for me, I find that's actually the best way for me to communicate. So once a month, I carry out a newsletter through my organization, and I put a lot of thought into it during the month of like, how can I it's like writing a letter to people I care about. So I try to do that. That's similar to a blog post, I guess. Emails also, I try to make space every like weekend, maybe on the Sunday morning, just give myself an hour and email people I haven't been in touch with in a while, and just send a quick note or a text and say, hey, I'm thinking about you. How are you? So, the point, Deanna, to your question is like to keep engaging with people who are part of your community. I've never really liked the word audience because it implies like there's a delivery service or consumer or customer. I prefer the word community. Like I care a lot about the people that I'm friends with or that are in my community. So that's why I would send a text or an email or a newsletter, because I want to engage authentically with those people. And when I put out a new album or when I, do a concert, then I hope they're going to come because they want to come, not because they have to come or they're like, oh yeah, I should go to this thing. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions? This is a lot of stuff on this page. I will put the PowerPoint in the chat, but if anyone wants to take a picture, this really has a lot of suggestions here.
We do have a question from Jane. Jane said that I've heard that too many hashtags is counterproductive. What's your take on this, Carla?
I also feel that way. I just feel like it's different for everybody, but I think if you can use a few hashtags that are really authentic to your brand. Like I do a lot of cultural diplomacy work. I use that hashtag a lot and I follow that hashtag. And so if someone else is doing something on cultural diplomacy, I want to know about it. But I would say anywhere between like a minimum of 3 to like, you probably don't want to have 50, like 20 is a lot. Maybe 10 or 15, somewhere in there is probably good.
Right. And I think maybe if I may add, it's we can always try and see how it goes. It's just like, because it's never like a one-way, like a one-time thing, right? Like, okay, let's try with 5 hashtags and see what
Exactly.
10 hashtags do.
Exactly.
And then we have a question from, yep, sorry, go on, Carla.
No, I think you're absolutely right. You got it.
We also have a question from Karina. What should we do when we try to engage, but there's no response? That's a very good question.
That is a good question. I think that, when I get that, I have a rule of 3. I will try to engage with someone 3 times before I give up. Because I kind of think like, okay, if they're trying to ghost me, I don't want to impose. But there is an exception to this rule. It's kind of like grammar rules, right? So, let's say that I met someone at a concert or a party that I think is just really cool. I want to maybe collaborate with them. I like their content. We had a good conversation. I feel like there's potential for something there, right? I'll follow up. I'll send like a text or something. And then the first time, like if I get no response, maybe I will wait a little while, send the second one. And then by the third one, if I have no response from the second one, I'll say something like, hey, I haven't heard back from you. I don't want to impose. But if you're still interested, I would really love to follow up. Something like that. And I'm going to use our dear Benny here. So Benny, let's say that you followed up with me. You're like, hey, Carla, remember that time in that Zoom session, you said you would help me. You probably wouldn't say it like that, but you'd be like, hey, I'm following up on this idea. I really want to do this. And let's say I just didn't respond, right? So this is an opportunity more than a collaboration. And so Benny writes me again and I don't respond. Now, this is the exception. This is the exception to the rule. There is an exception for determination. And I personally have been this way. I think tenacity and persistence can go a long way. Now, I have offered to help Benny. It's not like Benny's just emailing me blind. I've offered that. So Benny should write to me 10 times. He should write to me for a year until he gets a response. Because sometimes people are just bombarded with emails. I mean, I'm not one of those people, but there are days where I easily can go through 200, 300, 400 emails easily. There were times in my life I was doing 75 emails an hour. And so undoubtedly there can be emails that fall through the cracks, right? And maybe Benny just hit me up at a time where I was dealing with a lot of things. But there have been times where I have emailed people all the time because I was like, I need to talk to you and I'm not going away until you open the door. And you know what? At the end of the day, those people have been like, I finally talked to you because you were just so persistent. I thought, if this person is this persistent, then they must really want this. And most of the time that's for people where there's no contact. Benny and I have established a contact, right? But if you just like really wanted to meet Lady Gaga and you just were like off, like completely persistent, I guarantee you, like that persistence will pay off. So that's the exception to the rule. If there's something you really want, obviously don't stalk someone, don't harass them, don't go too far, but like be persistent. Send that email often, often, and just keep trying. But if like someone is kind of blowing you off and it's more of a collaboration or building a community, then, maybe they're just not that interested. And I would give it the rule of three. Does that answer that question?
I think that's a wonderful rule of thumb, Carla. Thank you so much. We also have another question from Raka. This is a very good question. Personally, how did you know when it was time to scale up with creating your own website and a newsletter?
This is a good question. This is weird, Raka. I started my website before there was social media. I know I'm like ancient. Um, I started having a website like in 2001 maybe because back then it was so innovative. We when I was coming up, we actually used to have to like print our headshots and our resumes and burn CDs and DVDs and like mail them to people for auditions. And when websites came along, it was like, whoa, I can just put all this content online, and I was saving myself so much money from mailing. So that was why. And then when social media came along, it just like really blew up the possibilities. So um, I still have keep the website because I feel like I can put a lot of personal content there. I feel like maybe it's a little antiquated, like I don't think you need it, but I just sort of have kept it up. Newsletters, however, I love. And I love letter writing. I definitely have like a pen pal thing going with a lot of people because there's something about sitting down for a few minutes and taking some time to thoughtfully write a letter that I think is even like better than a phone call sometimes because I put a lot of thought into my emails or letters. And I put a lot of thought into my newsletter. And I also read a lot of newsletters because I like that. I like being able to sit down at my time, which is maybe, might be the middle of the night in Jakarta time. We're on different time zones, but like really think through that. I don't think it's a matter of scaling up. I think if you have 50 people or 20 people that you want to write a letter to and the content is similar, put them all on a group email and send that as a newsletter. Like that's just a way of simplifying something. It could be 5 people, but it has to be honest and authentic. I think that kind of goes back to that step one piece.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I guess that goes to show more that it's not always about the numbers, right, Carla?
It's never about the numbers.
Mhm.
I thought about sharing with some articles, but I didn't want to get too academic about it. There's a term that's used called social capital, right? And so when we think about resources, social resources, and some people will see this in the numbers. So, like, let's say that you have 1,000 followers, then that means like, wow, that's an influential person, 1,000 followers. But you may only have 3 followers. But if the 3 followers you have are people with a lot of social capital, let's say that like the 3 followers you have, I don't know, I'm gonna pick Deanne because she was with us yesterday, right? If that's one of your 3 followers, then like that's a whole different thing. So it's not always numbers. And it's also about the quality of the relationship. You could have 3 followers and they're your mom, your grandma, and your sister. But those people will go to bat for you. Those people will be there for you no matter what. So I think it's much more about the quality of the people and the quality of the social capital, if you will. So I'm
That's
going to
very
jump forward
well said.
to our next. Okay, so wait, yeah. Planning your strategy. This is where we are now for today. And let me just stop sharing my screen. So this is the key here is how do you start to plan a strategy? And at this point, I want to kind of go back here. Good. I still have a little bit of time left. Um, I hope that this is okay. Do we have with us today Vara Martha? Is Vara with us today?
Bar Martha, come on up.
If you're with us, please come on up. Maybe she's not with us, and that's totally okay too. Vara,
Hello. Hello.
hi
Oh,
Vara.
Oh,
she's
sorry.
with us.
I
Vara, can
think
you hear
her
us?
video is not on, but her sound is on.
Okay, well, Vara just did a really, really wonderful homework assignment. So I also wanted to share that. Um, and I'm wondering, Vara, can you maybe just in the chat give us a thumbs up, or I know I had emailed you about this, but I just want to like make sure it's okay with you. We'll come back to you, Vara, but if it's okay to use you as an example, just let me know in the chat so that I know. So, but while we wait to hear from Vara, I actually want to drop a few things in the chat. This is, I love to give you guys resources. This is a little PDF that I absolutely love. And I don't think I had shared this yet. But it kind of outlines 10 secrets of success. So you guys can open that up and read it. I'll read them very quickly here, but it's got a lot of information. How you think is everything. Always be positive. Decide on your true dreams and goals and write them down because the more you visualize them, the more likely you are to achieve them. Take action. Never stop learning. Be persistent and work hard. Learn to analyze details. Focus your time and money, your resources. Don't be afraid to innovate and be different. Deal and communicate with people efficiently. Be honest and dependable. So I feel I don't really need to go over that too much, but this is something that I think reiterates a lot of the lingo that we've been talking about, and it is from Investors Daily. So it's, these are entrepreneurial trips for people in the business world, and they certainly apply for us. So it's in the chat. Everybody can let me know if you have any trouble opening it, but that's in the chat. Now I'm going to shift gears a little bit toward resources. And Vara, just again, let us know if it's okay to look at your homework there, because I would love to use you as an example. You did a great job. And I guess while we wait for Vara to get back to us, I also am going to just share my screen one more time here. So one more example that I wanted to give today is the following. Forgive me here. So this is along the lines of collaboration, and Vara, I think you're with us.
Hello.
Yeah,
Can you
we
Hi.
can hear you.
Yes,
Oh.
we can.
I just need a thumbs up if you're okay to share your homework.
Yeah.
Is that a
Yes, she
yes?
said it's okay.
Okay, cool.
Yes, I
So
would.
let me come back to that. I just want to share this quick story. So I recorded an experimental album a couple years ago. This was totally outside of my box, but it was a dream come true. I've always done opera, classical, like highly trained, and I really wanted to put myself in the studio for the first time and do something that I was like a bucket list thing. Like I may never come back to, but I was also sorting through some things. Actually my grandmother, who I'm very close to, was quite sick and died on the day that I was doing the last track, which is very much about life and death. It was just a very moving time for a number of reasons. And as I was doing this album, I used to take very long walks around New York, around my neighborhood, and this artwork kept coming up everywhere I went. It's like graffiti artwork. So it was on the streets, and I was really inspired by this work. Like it really spoke to me. It was very dark and kind of mysterious and I don't know, complex. And the album is very dark and mysterious. And so I finished the album and I decided that I really wanted to track down who this artist was. Now, when I was walking around the streets, like I just saw the art. There's like a barely a little signature and it's graffiti, so there's stuff like all over it. But I really was like determined to track down this artist. So I started like this journey into trying to figure out who this was and doing a lot of Googling. I'm trying to see if I can find more of the art. Um, but basically, I tracked down, it was this artist called Dee Dee. And Dee Dee is pretty anonymous. No, I don't know what gender Dee Dee is. I don't know what nationality Dee Dee is. But you can see here like some of Dee Dee's art. And so I tracked Dee Dee and decided to write Dee Dee an Instagram message. And I was like, you don't know me, but your work really, really inspired and influenced my album. And this is like a very personal thing for me. And I just really wanted to say thank you because every day I would go on the walk before going to studio, and a lot of my inspiration came from you. And then I got a message back. And when my album came out, I immediately sent it to Dee Dee and I was like, I just want to thank you. Like this is what it is. Anyway, we started this friendship. This has been going on for a few years now. I've never met Dee Dee. No one's met Dee Dee. I don't know, again, what gender, where from, how old, like I know nothing. But we have written to each other through a lot of hard times. And yesterday, like to my complete surprise, Dee Dee sends me this. And Dee Dee did a piece with like a photo of me, which of course was like the most flattering gift I could ever imagine. So this is just again to illustrate the power of social media and unlikely friendships and collaborations, and like how you really should reach out. Like you always, if there's someone who inspires you, if there's someone you want to have as a role model, is there someone you want to collaborate with, just reach out to them. Because especially when she says she calls me a dear friend, like I feel that way about Dee Dee. And so it just really meant a lot to me. So that's just like a little story of like dreams can come true and you should reach out to people on social media. So I'm going to stop the share there and turn my attention to Vara's assignment that Vara did really quickly. So sharing my screen again here, guys. Thanks for bearing with me on this. So you guys might remember, and I'm going to move through this very quickly, but what really impressed me about Vara is that she took each one of these points. You remember that sheet I sent you initially? She took each one of them and she really addressed them with a lot of nuance. And Vara, I congratulate you for doing this because you did this in a very honest way, did her self inventory. And it's amazing to me that you gave yourself a 3 on knowledges of language because speaking one language is the norm in the States. And you already speak Indonesia and English, and that's really impressive. I think you deserve a higher score. Marketing, I mean, you're being very humble here, but look at the work that she has put into this. Unique value proposition. What makes you unique? My speed. I'm an anime artist who open art commission. Most people can only finish a piece of art in a week minimum, revisions not included. But if my client is easy to contact or stays online and sees for themselves while I'm working, I can finish in 3 days maximum, no matter how hard it is. That is definitely impressive. These vision, mission, and goals, super well delineated. 6-month goal, a 1-year goal, 5-year goals. The accomplishment that she was most proud of. So you can see, guys, how much time she has put into this. And I just really wanted to applaud that because, Vara, I know that that's not easy. Vara, I don't know if you can hear or respond here, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this exercise.
Hi, Vara. Are you here with us?
Maybe Vara's audio is not so great. So Vara, we'll come back to you next week. But I wanted to just double check. Does everybody still have
Hello.
that document? Hi. Hi, Vara.
Yes.
Hi, there you are.
Fine.
I think your audio might be a little bit weak.
I think so too. Yeah.
Wait, is it already enough?
It's better. It's better.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you learned from doing this exercise?
Okay, I'm learning.
Yeah, I think the audio is kind of going out a lot here. Yeah,
It's
the
no
mic is.
problem, Vara. Yeah,
It's
we will.
okay.
We'll come back to you next week, and Vara, you and I can keep dialoguing on email,
Oh
which is
yes.
great.
I
No
think
problem.
I think I can speak it in here. Um, during in my class, I really learning a lot, and especially about myself. Like I know my weakness, I know my worth, I know my especially about the SWOT: strength, weakness, opportunity, and the what is the last? I forgot. But it is really hit me so much because like, oh, this is my weakness, this is my strength, and this is my opportunity, and I think I can improve myself with that. I'm learning so much, and I'm really proud of this group because I can meet so much people with their achievement, their stories, and it's really moving me so much. It's really inspired me.
I'm so glad to hear this. And I really am very moved to see how much thoughtfulness you've put into your assignment. I mean, you really took a lot of time to answer these questions extremely thoughtfully. And when I just, if you don't mind, Vara, I want to read a little bit when you wrote the accomplishment that I'm most proud of. You say, I managed to make multilingual and Arabic reckless for Utaloid, even though I'm not a native. Utaloid is a voice synthesizer software. You might know there's a software to create music digitally, but this one is creating singing vocals so you don't need to hire a singer. Quite similar with how Google Translate speakers features work. Well, that means less jobs for me. But I think that's fantastic. I'm making a joke. Sorry, bad joke.
It's fine.
Of course, the voice doesn't magically exist. We need a voice or a dubber to record some words, and then we process it into voice banks so everyone can use it. Fantastic. The list of words for creating a voice bank is called Reckless, recording list, and someone who makes Reckless is called Recklister. Most Utaloid VB is only monolingual, so I have a Spanish friend who has the same vision to create a VB who can speak more than two languages. One day she needs my help about Arabic language because I'm Muslim and might know Arabic language. So again, guys, like these are like Shark Tank worthy ideas. Please watch Shark Tank. That's another homework. So, in the chat, maybe Ajeng, you can help me. Maybe just to review. First homework, I want a list of your resources. Each of you should have at least three: time, talent, language. Right? I believe strongly you have at least those three, and I think you have many others. Hint: look at your SWOT analysis for the strengths. Those are often resources. Second homework assignment, watch an episode of Shark Tank. You have to do it. You just have to do it. It's probably on YouTube. Yeah. And so just going with what Vara is talking about here, she goes into quite a bit of detail about this. And everyone who's made Arabic VBs is using her rec list for base references, even though she's not a native Arabic speaker, and she's really proud of that. And I just think that that is really an amazing thing that you're on the cutting edge of, Vara. So big congratulations to you. I don't know if your mic is still working.
Yes, my mic is still working. Thank you very much. It's really
So Vara, do you have any
yes.
questions that you want to post for the group?
I think so far I'm fine. I don't have any questions.
Awesome. Well, I want to get back to you via email because I know there's some connectivity issue and we're also running out of time because I really like
Okay.
your idea and I really want to help your idea too. I think you've got an amazing idea here to
Thank
bring
you.
forward. Awesome job. Awesome job. So guys, these steps that Vara took in the document are the beginning of what I would call a business plan. And that's also something we're going to cover tomorrow. I guess what my hope is, and I'm not requiring this, but the more that you fill out that document, the way that Vara did, the way that, so many of you have been thinking, the more you have a business plan, a map, a roadmap, a strategy, as I said on that last slide, for how to go forward after this class ends. Those goals, the 6 months, the 1 year, the 5 year. And the more you can share that with people like me, who can help you to make that happen. Yeah. So I would strongly urge the third homework assignment is to try to complete that so that by the time we finish this class, you are able to have some concrete next steps on how to bring your projects and your passions into reality. Now, finally, I do want to go to a game that I have. Okay, this is really kind of a crazy one. And yeah, forgive me because it's actually really, really nuts, but we'll play it together. This is called the MASH calculator. Okay, so this is exaggerated, but it still can be a fun game. So it's called How Much Will My Lifestyle Cost? I just thought we would take a last few minutes of the class to talk about finances a little bit, unrelated to your projects, but related to thinking about money. Okay. So this is again exaggerated. It's like Kardashian style, really. But it's called MASH because M stands for mansion, A stands for apartment, S stands for shack, and H stands for house. Yeah. Um, and the idea here is to just really think about like someday, I don't know if it's 5 years from now, 1 year from now, 10 years from now, depending on your age, what kind of place do you want to live in? An apartment, a modest house, a condo, a luxury home. But really, let's think about this honestly. I mean, we might all want to live in a luxury home with a gated community, but where do you really see yourself living? What do you want? Would you splurge on a second home? What kind of vehicle do you want to have, right? We probably all want the Mercedes. But start to think about it. Now, these price points are obviously US dollars, so it doesn't apply. And I apologize, I really didn't know how to convert it. But let's just say that we're filling this out. And Ajeng, maybe you and I can do this together. Does that sound fun?
Yeah, definitely. Let's do it.
So, Ajeng, what do you think? Would you like to live in like an apartment, a condo? What sounds good for you?
I feel like I have a very simple minimalist lifestyle, and I think like being close to places is the priority for me. So I think like an apartment would be sensible, and it's what I like as well.
Great. So, what this is aimed to show you is like if you picked an apartment, the first box. Now, in America, the rent would be about $1,000 a month. Not in New York, but in like the average place, that's a low rent. I don't
Yeah.
know. Fill in the number with what you think an equivalent would be, and I'm sure it's different in Jakarta, from Surabaya, from other places. But the
Mhm.
idea is to multiply this by, let's say you live there for 40 years. So
Right.
that gives you this number, right? Whereas if
Mhm.
you purchase a condo in the city, it's actually costs less. So the idea is
Right.
to think about how much will your whole lifestyle cost you as you start to plan for the future. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes. I have a question though, because we kind of use the term interchangeably here, but the can you tell us just maybe briefly the difference between an apartment and a condo?
Yeah, maybe this is an American thing, but a condo in the States is like a kind of a modern, it's usually a more modern building. You usually buy a condo. So
Right.
sometimes like, if you buy it, then you're paying a mortgage, but you
Mhm.
own it. Like the idea
Right.
is that your mortgage goes towards ownership. Whereas an apartment, you just pay the rent, but you don't
Right.
own it.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, because I think we kind of use that interchangeably here because like there are apartment buildings that apartment units that people can own, and then some buildings call themselves condos. So yeah, I think it's a bit there's a bit of difference here, but that's cool.
Great. Yeah, so that's the thing. It might not fully apply, but I wanted to just give you some ideas here. And I think, like, let me just ask you, Ajeng, what would you put for other? What are some ideas for other?
Some idea for others. It could be maybe location wise might be a good option, because like there's smaller homes in like the central part of the city, or you want like a bigger home in the suburbs. That's usually like the usual dilemma that we have here in cities.
Yeah, so I would say that's like the difference maybe between an apartment or condo or a modest home in the suburbs here. And
Right.
again, the price points are just suggestions. You guys can scratch those out and make a new price point. But I think under other, let me introduce two ideas, and maybe in the chat if anybody else has ideas. One, live with your parents. Maybe your parents will let you live with
Right.
them without paying a lot of rent. Maybe, yeah.
Mhm.
Or getting roommates. Maybe you can have an apartment, but you have a roommate or two,
Yeah.
and then your rent goes down, right? So definitely those are two like very doable things. Sometimes you can have a job that offers you housing, sometimes,
Yes.
but the idea is to just start to like think about how you would calculate this out. Um, and I'll sort of move forward to this. Yeah, do you want to have a car? Or maybe you don't need a car. You can ride a bike or take public transport. I always think that the winner of the game is the one who has the most zeros, right? Like, how can you save as much funding as possible? If you want to have kids, what do you think about how many? Do you need somebody to take care of them? Will you pay for your kids' education in America? That's very expensive. How much do you spend on appearance? I know that's like a big one. How much money do you spend in your free time? Intend to travel. So I'm gonna drop this, right? And then your life cost, right? I'm gonna drop this in the chat for you guys to think about. When we meet next week, we are going to talk a lot more about financial planning. So I kind of thought that this would be a good exercise for you to be thinking about in advance of our last session. And it's fun. It's MASH. Does anybody have any
Yeah.
questions about this?
We have a comment from Ipong here saying financial planning always gets me nervous, which is totally relatable.
I know, but you know what? There's a really big phrase that I want you to think about. What you don't measure, you cannot manage. Measurement equals management. So if you can start by writing something out with what you want, what are your goals? I want to have two kids. I want to travel. I'm okay in an apartment. I don't need a car, whatever it is. Then you can start to plan in a way that will make that possible. And that is so important. If there's one thing to take away from this course, it's probably that lesson. Now, I also want to leave you with, yes, our PDF from today, which is right here. So lots of handouts. I'm leaving you with lots of things. Are there any questions here? I want to come back, Marie. I want to thank Marie and I want to thank Benny for sharing and Vara for sharing with us. Marie, we cannot wait to have that blog and the newsletter going. Benny, I'm really eager to see your one pager and get you started with some international clients. And Vara, what you're doing is amazing. Let's follow up via email. Also, maybe everyone, you can save the chat. Do you know how to save the chat? So that we can, follow everybody on Instagram. I think that using this hashtag TTA entrepreneurship is a good one for us to start with as a group. My email, I'm going to give you my personal email. Sometimes I also answer from my Harvard email, but either way it goes to me. And I know most of you have my WhatsApp, so I think you all know how to reach me. And it's just been a great and very inspiring session. I can't believe every time I meet more of you, all of the incredible things you're doing. So thank you for sharing it with us. It's very inspiring, and I'll hand it back to Ajeng.
Thank you so much, Carla. Yet again, another fantastic and insightful and exciting session we have here in the Entrepreneurship Workshop. Thank you so much for everyone for sharing your stories and for sharing your awesome talents and your thoughts in the comments. We love interacting with you guys. I believe it's time for pictures now, right?
Yes, that's right.
Take it away.
All right, if everyone can please turn your camera on so we can start taking a picture. Okay. Is everyone ready? 3, 2, 1, cheese. Again, 3, 2, 1, cheese. All right, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. And please consider joining us for performance next week. It's going to be awesome.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, Carla.
Have a
Thank you,
good
JPAC.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ajeng.
Everyone, thank you.
Thank you, Kaipong. Bye.